along to the second episode of Her Huddle, a show dedicated to celebrating the brilliant women we have dotted around the NFL. I'm your host, Hannah Wilkes, and every episode we're bringing you a live conversation with some of the inspiring women across the league, women who have smashed boundaries and made the game their own and paved the way for others to follow in their footsteps, which is the most... I'm joined, as you can tell, by a co-host. This is Ash from Ash and the NFL. You may know her from TikTok, and we've got a couple of really special guests coming in as well. I can see one of them's popped up already. I'm delighted to say that amidst a record-breaking year in which there were 12 women in coaching positions across the NFL, from the field to the boardroom, women are now everywhere in this league, and a lot of it, we think, is down to the work of these two incredible women. You can see just below me, Sam Rapoport, Senior Director of Diversity, Equity and Inclusion at the NFL, and Venessa Hutchinson, Senior Manager of Football Development. And I think really you two, when it comes to it, the creators, the brains, the powerhouse between NFL's women's careers in football forum, which has done so much for women across the sport. So first of all, welcome, Sam, Venessa. How are you? I'll ask Sam first, or we'll get very confused.
I'm great. Thank you so much. Vanessa and I are really excited to talk with you both and share the story beyond the United States.
And Venessa, how's things with you? How was week one for you?
Week one was exciting. You all saw it. It was great. Glad football's back and glad fans are back. So everything's going well.
Oh, doesn't it make all the difference in the world? Now, I'm just saying, we've got a sore Packers fan next to me. Ash is licking her wounds a little bit, but she's okay. She's rallying. Look, we're going to dig into both of your football journeys and what got you here in a moment. But Sam, I want to ask you, first of all, we saw two incredible things on the field over week one. First of all, Maya Chaka became the first black woman to officiate an NFL game. And then we had Carl Nassib put on his Raiders jersey and play an NFL game for the first time as an openly gay man after he came out this summer. Just how important are those moments and what did they mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, the NFL is changing, right? And we're not going backwards. And it really is remarkable to see that, every season we keep celebrating these firsts. Last season it was, we had the first time we had female coaches on both sidelines and a female official. First time two female coaches were in the Super Bowl with a female official in the Super Bowl. And now Carl Nassib with his strip sack to help win the game, and obviously Maya Chaka, who's breaking boundaries incredibly as the first black woman to officiate. So they're all inflection points which point towards progress that we're seeing. And our fans want our sport to reflect this country and the world better. And that's what we're all working towards.
Amazing. And I'd love to know, what's the media reaction been like that side of the pond? We get quite a lot over here when it comes to that sort of stuff, especially in regards to kind of NFL over here. But I mean, we don't get an awful lot. So what's it been like for you guys, that side?
And Vanessa, the Carl news as well, who's coming out, was that a big story in the States?
Sorry, I missed the last question. I apologize.
We were just wondering whether there was a lot of coverage around Carl coming out in the States, because it made headline news over here, which is
for sure. There's been a lot of coverage, a lot of all around sports, a lot of coverage, a lot of positivity, a lot of fan support being shown as well, which has been it's just been a super positive. That's what you want to see, when a player comes out and does something like that, and expresses himself and who he is, and the league kind of embraces him, fully embraces him, I should say, for the bravery of him going ahead and speaking his truth. And it was great to see just all different sports areas really encouraging him and embracing him.
It's funny, isn't it? Because we were talking about this actually before we came live. We talk so much about these people that are the first, and it's like, when do we get to the point where that's not a big deal anymore and anyone breaking these boundaries? But then also there's that balance, right? You must celebrate who comes first, because if other people can't see them and don't know it's been done, they don't know it's possible. It's a balance, isn't it, Vanessa?
That's exactly right. Yeah, I mean, that's something Sam and I talk about a lot too. We're getting further away from the first now. We still have some first, like with women in football, just for example. But we'll be super happy when there are no more firsts and it's completely normal. And so you celebrate the first, you celebrate the people who are paving the way for others, but at the same time, you also celebrate that it's becoming normal.
So, I mean, look, you guys are two powerhouses in these huge roles now in the NFL. Sam, tell us about your journey to becoming Senior Director of Diversity, Equity and Inclusion. That's a big title, but I understand you started out playing football, and I heard a great story that part of your way of getting into working for the NFL was you literally sent them a football and saying, what other quarterback can deliver a ball 300 miles, having sent it from Canada? So how did you go from playing to working in the NFL?
Yeah, Vanessa's laughing at me right now, and for good reason. So yeah, I grew up in Canada, proud to represent NFL Canada on this Instagram Live. And, you know, football was available to me as a young girl growing up. So I was able to play in junior high and high school. And I also played women's tackle football while I went to McGill University in Montreal, Canada. And so I love the sport. I've always loved the sport. I didn't know anyone in the United States. I knew I wanted to work for the NFL. That really was my dream, and it still is. And so I had to do something gimmicky and kitschy to get that job. And so I sent a football with my resume. I was a quarterback, and I've been here ever since. This is going to be my 19th season working in football.
Wow, 19 years. I'm hoping we didn't go anywhere. Our screen seems to be on auto lock. So we just we heard you, we couldn't see you. All good. Technology, eh? Vanessa, how about you? What was your journey into working for the NFL and being part of this huge organization and being able to affect change?
Yeah, so I haven't been it just as long as Sam. This is my 12th season in football, but I've been around it since I was 18 years old. Never played, never was brave enough to play, so all the credit to Sam there. But I really wanted to work in it, so I really loved the behind-the-scenes, parts of football. And so I used college to figure out if it was something I wanted to go into. And I worked at Boston College football for 4 years as an undergrad. I did everything from recruiting to administrative to team travel and helping organize planes, you name it. And I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with being a part of a team. I fell in love with the support that I got from those coaches and staff that were on there. They became mentors to me, and they shared all of their experiences, which I think helped, prepare me, when I eventually went to the National Football League. And so, I started off in college football there, spent seven years there, and then made my way to the Cleveland Browns for a season, working in player personnel as a scouting coordinator. Again, just, a whole new experience for me, but I absolutely loved it. I loved being at the higher level in the league, and then made my way to the league office thanks to Sam, and the rest is kind of history.
Women helping women, we love it.
I love it. And Vanessa, I'd love to know as well, what makes your work so important to you? Obviously, I know you've explained a little bit there as well, but I'd love to maybe just delve a little bit deeper, because I love your backstory and what you're doing, as well as you, Sam. But Vanessa in particular, what makes your work kind of so important to you?
Yeah, so how we do the Women's Careers in Football Forum now is we really target women who work in college football, have held 1 to 3 years of experience working in all the different areas in which women are underrepresented and have transferable skills to the National Football League. So all those front office areas. So for me, it's pretty personal in that I used to be one of those women working in college football and wanting to figure out how to get to the league. And so when I get to hop on a Zoom call with a woman who's currently in college football and loves what she does and just wants to figure out and pick my brain on how to grow, or how to become eligible to attend the forum or things along those lines, I love those conversations, first of all, because they bring me back, and it's a shared experience between us, but two, fast forward to a few years later when you get that phone call or text saying, hey, I went to the forum, I've done my internships, I've grown at my job, and I just got a call from from a club at the National Football League saying I have an opportunity. And that's happened with so many of our women from the forum that we've been able to watch their journey over the past few years. The forum, we just had our 5th forum, so it has been such a progression. We've been able to watch careers grow. And probably I'd say the biggest thing is talking to, anyone who says, I didn't think this was an option for me, 5 years ago, but now I'm actually in this dream role that I wanted. And that's probably the most special thing of all.
Oh, it's so incredible. It's so inspiring. It's actually giving me goosebumps.
I was just about to say.
I'm like, oh my God, yes, we love it. I mean, look, you mentioned all these women that you've helped through the women's careers in football forum. I read somewhere that there's 181 women who have attended the forums that are now working in either professional, college, or high school football. I mean, Sam, take us back. For those who aren't familiar with the forum, how did it start, and what is it, and what's it all about, really, beyond obviously what Vanessa's just said in terms of getting women and connecting with women? But how did you begin it, really? Where did it come from?
Sure. So, looked around the NFL and we saw really zeros across the board as it pertains to women jobs in coaching, scouting, officiating, you name it. There were no women working in the roles. And we did some research as to why that was and how men got jobs in the NFL. And so what we did was we created a platform to put women who want to work in this sport, who are qualified to work in this sport, in a room for 2 days with people who could potentially hire them. And they get the jobs on their own. Venessa and I don't get anyone jobs. And this isn't even about getting women jobs. This is about looking at who is underrepresented and who is marginalized in any given position and opening the talent pool up so the other half of the population can get in. And so Venessa and I really have worked to build a bridge and to put them in a room with head coaches and GMs and owners who could hire them. And it's up to them to impress and get the job or not get the job. And, it's worked out, like you mentioned, 181 opportunities in 5 years.
I think what's really interesting as well, and I read an article that I think you'd actually shared, Sam, that this year I think there's 44 women who've been to the forum this year, which I'm assuming was all virtual as well with the world we've been living in. But of those 44 women that have got jobs, 87% of them are women of colour. What is the forum doing differently that the rest of football can learn from to increase diversity across the league?
Yeah, we don't follow any rules. We go rogue with that. Venessa, why don't you take this one away and kind of share some of our secret sauce behind why?
Give us the sauce.
No, honestly, that's something, and I give Sam so much credit. When I came in to start working on the forum with her, that's something she said to me off the bat is, this is a women's forum, but, we know at the end of the day, when you do something for women, white women benefit most of the time. And we want to be very intentional. We want to make sure we're representing, women from all different backgrounds. And so when we do our search, we do a very intensive search. It's not just on our end. We get recommendations from different people as well, from college, from the NFL, but we make sure when we're considering candidates, we're making sure we're looking for candidates of all backgrounds and making sure that over 50% of the women we bring into the forum come from these unique and diverse backgrounds, because we know, there may be otherwise, they may not be considered, as opposed to, like I said before, white women usually benefit from that. So that's just something that I give Sam a lot of credit for. She was very clear about that with me, very clear about, how we're going to proceed forward with the forum like that. And I just think it's tremendous. And, so many women from the forum this year have been hired. And so you've seen that number grow so high. And I hope, other sports leagues, not just our clubs, but other sports leagues kind of see that intention and use that moving forward.
Yeah, and to add to Vanessa's point there, it really shows you what happens if you intentionally level the playing field for everyone. All women rise. If you don't do that, one type of woman will rise. And that is absolutely not what we're trying to accomplish here. So what we tried to do was even the playing field as much as humanly possible, so the cream of the crop rose to the top, and that's what's happening.
I love that. And I'd love to know as well, because obviously we're in London, in the UK, and for maybe some people based in other countries as well, are opportunities like this global, or is that something that you maybe want to expand to kind of outside the States and Canada as well? What's that kind of like for maybe, a couple of females out there who might be based in some European countries or maybe further afield over in Australia, which I know has got kind of like a growing buzz, especially in regards to the NFL. Is that something that you've thought about as well?
Yeah, absolutely. V, please elaborate on what I'm going to say. But we have included international women for years in the program in different capacities. Speaking as a Canadian who had so much trouble getting a visa to work in the United States, I can say that the biggest challenge we have is that our objective is, for women to start working in the NFL and in college football in the United States. And the visa process in all other countries makes that a little bit difficult. But that said, last year we worked with our NFL international group to ensure that we had women from many different countries participate. So even if they did not have an opportunity to work in the United States, we still want women to be involved in football all over the globe, right? So Venessa could probably share in more detail, women we had from many different countries, but that's something that we will continue to implement as we develop this program.
Yeah, just to jump off of what Sam said, that's always, as long as I've been a part of the forum, that's something that's always been, that we've exercised as well. And last year in particular, I can remember, I believe we had about 5 candidates that were recommended to us from NFL International that were in on a breakout session with Bill Belichick. They were all coaches and had a strong interest in coaching. And they were all within that, in that very intimate breakout session room with him, with the opportunity to learn from him and talk to him. So for sure, that's something we've definitely embraced as well.
Well, you mentioned having Bill Belichick as
That's
part of
amazing.
that panel, which is incredible in its own right that someone with that much success wants to be a part of it. What's the response been from the head coaches? Because when we talk about getting women in these jobs in coaching and in teams, there are some coaches that immediately come to mind as real allies, your Bruce Arians, Ron Rivera, but how is that growing and changing, and who's been the most helpful?
Can we back up on that for 1 second? Because I have an amazing story for you both.
Yes,
So
yes.
we've run this program for 5 years, and we've had amazing names and amazing people. But I will never forget where I was when Venessa called me to tell me that she got Bill Belichick. So V, can you just really quickly tell that story, and then we'll jump into the other folks?
We want to hear this. Vanessa, yes.
For sure. So, obviously within the forum, we want to reach, all 32 clubs someday. We're super close to that. And we know in the programming that I'm involved in the league office, I work with some of the Patriots executives on different things. And I had a conversation about a few months before the forum took place in February, and he had expressed that, Coach Belichick really wants to embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion. Not only wants to practice it within his front office, but wants to be able to, speak on it, be a face for it, help encourage the league within this initiative. And so when we came down to planning the women's forum, Sam kind of out of the blue saying, it would be great if we could get Coach Belichick in on this. And we realized it might be possible, and we got pretty creative. We've got Coach Vrabel involved, who played for Coach Belichick and has been an ally of the Women's Forum for a few years now. And, we gave him a pitch, like, we'd love for you to participate in a breakout session for our female coaches, very intimate setting, no media, just you and football. Basically, and help develop them. And, we emailed him, and I think 20 minutes later we got a response, and I called Sam and I was like, he's in. And it was as easy as that.
Well, it was too easy.
20 minutes.
Fight for him.
It wasn't, guys, let's just back up for another second, because the reason that Venessa was able to do that was because of her credibility and relationships in the league. I would not have been able to get Bill Belichick. But it was, to answer your initial question, it was phenomenal. It was a pinch me moment for all of us when we were watching all of these coaches. I'm going to mess up some of the countries, but I'm certain there was one from Mexico, one from Canada, one from the UK, and a few other countries in there as well. Just like Venessa said, just talking ball with someone who wants to help coaches develop. In that room, the word woman never even came up. It was just, okay, who wants to develop? And then it was just, let's break down a cover 3 defense and talk about speed terms that the corner's doing on certain defensive fronts. And so it was cool as hell. We had a blast with it. And, we've had a lot of amazing other names, obviously, many team owners, head coaches and GMs that came across this year. But Bill Belichick we landed a big fish there.
The big kahuna by some margin.
I love that though, because especially kind of like new people into the sport, especially maybe new females, everybody kind of knows who the Patriots are. So a big name like Bill Belichick, people know who he is. So to have somebody who is so well known as an advocate for this must just be so amazing. And it's actually just so inspiring to hear kind of the backstory from it as well. So yeah, I'm absolutely amazed. Yeah.
And like I said, there are some coaches that are really known for being advocates for women and putting women on their staff. Are we starting to see that from where you guys are spread more widely across the league, that now it's not what, are you male, female, or the rest of it? It's literally who is the best qualified. Is there more openness to spreading that pool a little wider when you're casting the net for candidates?
Yeah, I'll take that one and make me sound smarter. But there's no question that it's getting more and more normal as we go. I think it was very interesting that last year when we had 2 female coaches in the Super Bowl, that we talked about it, but it wasn't overblown, right? It wasn't like that's all we talked about and we had commercials and all that. It was just, Coach Aaron says all the time, they're just coaches and they're just doing their thing. And so we are getting closer to normalization. But I'd be lying and naive to say that we're there and then it's just normal. There's still minds that need to be changed. There's still progress that needs to be made. We need a first on every team so we can move past that already and focus on normalization and ubiquity. And we're getting closer and closer every year. Progress isn't the snap of a finger, and we're in this for the long haul.
Fantastic. And I mean, I'd love to maybe just use that as a next question. Obviously, this is kind of your 5th year doing the forum and everything. And I know you've just said progress is a long-term thing. Where do you see this hopefully going in the next 5 years? I'm going to throw this question out to both of you. But I mean, where would you like to see this growing and expanding, within the next few years?
Yeah, I mean, I can start. you obviously want to see a woman in every front office of across all 32 clubs, coaching, front office, scouting, whatever it may be. That's something, that I think is super important. I think that'll be a big, check mark for this initiative once we get to that point. I would just be really pleased with that. But, I think one of the things that we also hope coming out of the forum is like, it is a long-term thing, and it's not going to happen overnight, like Sam said, but you take a coach like, a veteran coach like Coach Belichick, Coach Arians, Coach Rivera, all those coaches that are now getting involved with the forum and honestly hiring out of the forum. And, they're developing their own coaches right now. They're developing their own coordinators right now, their own assistant coaches. And all those guys and girls are going to go on to be head coaches potentially someday. They're going to be candidates for those roles. And so, that's something that I think, you notice right away. Like, for example, Brian Flores worked under Coach Belichick, and, both Coach Belichick had women in his front office. Coach Flores is now a head coach, and him and Chris Greer have worked hard to have, women within their scouting department right now. And so, that's just an example, but I say that to say, over time, these coaches are learning that it's going to be normal to have women within their front office, and they should really embrace that. They should consider women when they're hiring. And I think that's one of the biggest things that will come out of the 5 to 10 years from now thing that we look at, is that it's becoming very normal for these coaches to have them in the front office and to consider them for roles. And when they're in hiring positions, they'll very hopefully, embrace hiring women, people of color, and all those diversity initiatives as well.
A female head coach still feels a little way off, but looking at some of the positions within teams that are held by women, Sam, how far away do you think we are from a female GM? Because it's happening in other sports.
I think we're close to a first female GM, if I'm being honest. I think we have a ways to go with head coach. We need more and more female coaches in the pipeline. So, those who want the head coach position and who go for it have an opportunity. But the GM position, we have three very we have Kelly Klein, we have Donna Ponte, who's really the godmother of football. We have Catherine Raish, Jackie Davidson. We certainly have women in the pipeline, and, through the forum and in other ways as well, there are many, many women that are taking up the scouting route and the football admin route, so they can put themselves in a position. So I can pretty much guarantee that's going to happen in our lifetime, and we'll be excited when it happens, but that won't be, okay, we did it, now we can move. It's not about the first, it's about making sure that can live on, and there's a sustainability side to it.
Yeah, not the first, always about the next.
Yeah,
always.
Definitely. And I mean, especially over here in the UK, I know there are lots of women American football teams, clubs and stuff. I think there's about 5 or 6, especially in London, who constantly message me asking me if I want to come and play.
They're trying to recruit. No one's ever asked me. They can tell I'm talking about sport and not playing it for a reason.
Oh no, but if a team wants me, more than happy to come and play or try out. Can't promise I'll be good. But I'm going to be super excited. And I'd love it to be sooner rather than later for a female head coach. To get that position. But yeah.
Look, we've talked a lot about what you guys have achieved with the forum. It's phenomenal. I mean, and it's impressive, and can't wait to see what you do next. But just in terms of you two, I mean, you've worked hard. You've fought your way up to get where you are. I mean, Sam, you've been named as one of Sports Illustrated's most powerful, most influential, most outstanding women in sports. Vanessa, you were also on 40 under 40 list by The Athletic. I mean, I know these aren't the reasons you get into this kind of work, and they're not what motivates you guys, but what does it mean to be recognised just a little bit by your peers?
This one.
You giving me this one, Sam?
Yeah. Passing the mic on this one.
Must have been a little part of you. Like, I know you're both very humble, and it's not about you, but you must have felt a bit of pride, right? To get
honestly. Why don't we talk about each other? I'd rather talk about myself. I really, I think it's remarkable. Like, that's like not even scratching the surface on what Vanessa's capable of, being named 40 under 40. And I think that, when she gets the recognition that she deserves for all the work that she's put into this, for me, it's kind of, it helps other sports leagues, other sports teams, other corporations really get on board that they need to be doing this too. And so when they see, Vanessa being highlighted for the work that she's doing on this, like I hope that a lot of sports teams say, but wait a sec, why are we not doing this, right? And so the media is an interesting side that Vanessa and I talk about a lot, but what it does is it's not only sparking other leagues to do the same, but it's also encouraging coaches at the Pee-wee level, at the high school level, at the junior high school level, to bring on female coaches as well. And so I really hope that the kind of external attention that we get serves that purpose.
And players, right? Didn't we just see the first female Pee-wee quarterback, age 10? I swear I saw that somewhere. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think she threw a shutout too. She's incredible, and more girls are playing tackle football now because of what they're seeing. So it really is remarkable, and we hope that trend continues, that people get on board because of that. Those stories that are being told.
And Venessa, I'm interested to ask you. We talk about sort of the male coaches that have come on board and really helped with the forum, all the rest of it. Are there any people in your life, in your career, that have taken the time to help you? Because I know from my experience, whilst you've got the talent and you've got the skills and you're capable of getting where you want to go, sometimes just someone taking that time to talk to you like you do for the forum members, it does make a difference and it can be really helpful. Is there anyone that's been really influential in your career?
Yeah, 100%. The name that'll always, come to mind first is Reggie Terry, who came from the Arizona Cardinals, worked under Rod Graves, was a very, popular general manager back when he was serving in Arizona. And Reggie came into BC when I was just a junior, and I told him I wanted to work in football, and he didn't laugh at me. He literally just did everything in his power to put me in a position of success, to tell me all of his experiences, to talk to me about, the difference between college and the NFL and all the different experiences that he's had. And so that's just someone that obviously comes to top of mind, because he was there, from the beginning. But, so many other names in the league as well that have helped grow me, that I lean on heavily, that I call probably too much for advice. Brandon Brown in Philly, and Andrew Berry in Cleveland. And, so, Sam and I, had some very good conversations, when I was at a time trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. And she was, super helpful for me in there, and I ended up working with her. So, those are just a few, just to, name a few.
And Sam, a question that's just popped into my head actually is, which of you two is going to be NFL commissioner first?
Sam Rapoport.
The other one. No, I mean, it's going to be fantastic when we see, the first female commissioner. I think we're going to see that in our lifetime as well. My vote is definitely on Donna Ponte, who is our chief football admin officer right now, and just an absolute star, not only in the work that she does, but also in how she has brought other people up behind her and how passionate she is of that. So we'll see it. I don't know if it'll be me or V, but my vote is on Donna Ponte.
I like it. Very diplomatic.
Amazing. It's so beautiful though to hear women supporting women. This is making me very happy. But I'd love to know, again, a question for both of you. But Sam, I will actually start with you for this one. Who've been your biggest influences to kind of get to the stage where you are right now? Is there maybe one person that comes to mind in particular, or a couple of people? But who have they been?
Yeah, some of them are big names, and I don't want to drop big names because that's really obnoxious. But
go on.
I'll say, Commissioner Goodell and his wife, Jane Goodell, have been instrumental in this from the start. When we came up with this idea, it was sparked on a football field where Roger played high school football, and it was brought up to him, this is something we want to do. And it was him that gave me the ball, and then it really, Troy Vincent, who was the EVP, the executive vice president of football operations for the NFL, was the person who gave me and Venessa the job to start doing this. So, a lot of male champions and female champions in this space, certainly. And I keep saying Donna Ponte because she's amazing, but, so she's been involved in the program since it started, and an advisor to me and Venessa to make sure that it goes off as well as it has.
We'll rename this episode Her Huddle Episode 2 bracket the Donna Ponte Appreciation Pod. Look,
Ponte Appreciation Pod.
But so I'm interested to know, obviously there's a lot more work to do with the forum, but what's the ultimate goal for you? What are you working towards with the forum and personally?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that Sam has always said when we were talking about the forum is, it'll be a great day when we don't actually need the forum anymore. So as much as I love my job, it's one of those things where, you feel like mission accomplished once, people don't need to call us for recommendations or say they don't know where to find it, a candidate. And when, they just kind of realize that the entire candidate pool needs to be considered for jobs. And once those things are accomplished, and, I hope we get close to that. I hope we get close to that, like Sam said, in our lifetime. But, for me, that's when I'll feel great about it. But, I'm super proud of the progress, already in 5 years, and an initiative that Sam, kind of, like she said, just talked about with Commissioner Goodell, was able to run with it. I'm super proud of where we're at, year 5, and I'm just excited to see what happens moving forward.
Like, I'm just seriously inspired right now. I'm just
Same.
like, I can go out and do this.
The world, we walk out of here
Coaches.
bring it on. But look, it's been an absolute. Do you have another question?
No.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were sure. Did you? Look, it's been an absolute joy speaking to you both. The work you've done with the women's careers in Football Forum has been amazing to watch so far. We can't wait to see where it goes next. And you're both so inspiring. Like we said, we're going to be taking on the world tomorrow after half an hour chatting to you guys. So thank you so much for joining us on Her Huddle. And we really appreciate the time of two very busy women, Sarah Rapoport and Venessa Hutchinson.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. As you've just mentioned, I'm inspired. I'm ready to take on the day tomorrow and just tackle the world of football this side of the pond. But yeah, I really appreciate it. And hopefully others out there as well have been just as inspired. We can take away some golden nuggets of information from you to achieve their goals as well.
We'll be back with more Her Huddle very soon. And if you've missed any of this brilliant conversation with Sam and Venessa, it will be on the NFL UK YouTube channel on Friday, I think. I'm giving a thumbs up. Awesome stuff. Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.
Thank you both. Thanks, V.